So this movie triggered the shit out of 3 of my 4 major phobias. Hello. All that was missing was heights, and we would have a film that would make me as tense as humanly possible.
We drilled to the bottom of the ocean, and we don't know what came out.
Underwater is directed by William Eubank and stars Kristen Stewart, Jessica Henwick, and John Gallagher Jr. It tells the story of a group of scientists on an undersea rig drilling down into the Marianas Trench 7 miles below the surface of the ocean. And when the rig they're on suffers a catastrophic failure, they're forced to navigate the ocean floor and deal with some very unexpected perils. It's January, so you know it's kind of a risky time for movies dropping in theaters. I was pretty hesitant going into this one because despite the trailers being interesting, they didn't really do much for me. I love Kristen Stewart, but at most this movie kind of seemed like Alien or Life, but underwater. That's the comparison that I've heard the most, and now that I've seen this film, I'm happy to report that not only is that comparison completely inaccurate, but Underwater was fucking great. I'm not even kidding, guys, this movie kind of blew me away. I went into this movie expecting a decently okay sci-fi monster movie. What I got was an intense, existentially terrifying creature feature that never stopped for 30 seconds to give me a minute to breathe. This movie played off my 3 biggest fears: tight spaces, the open ocean, and giant sea monsters living in the open ocean. That last one might be irrational, but keep in mind that only 5 to 10% of our oceans are mapped, and there could be anything down there in the other 95 to 90%. Also, watch Hollywood Scotty's giant monster videos and tell me they don't fill you with existential dread. Anyway, Underwater. Like I said, this movie kind of blew me away and I don't even know where to begin, so I'm just gonna dive in. Pun intended. What I really appreciated the most about this film is that it's just absolutely unrelenting. It starts off intense. The rig explodes 5 minutes into the film's runtime, and from that point onward, it doesn't really ever let up or give you a moment to relax. It starts at an 8 in terms of intensity, and it never really falls below that for the entire duration of its runtime. The crew starts the movie fighting for survival, and you feel every single second and all of the weight of their ensuing panic. You're there with them every step of the way, and you feel the weight of all the hard decisions they have to make and the sheer terror that they're experiencing. Part of that, and one of the film's biggest strengths, is its cinematography. This is an insanely claustrophobic film, and that really works in its favor. The cinematography is all extremely calculated, using especially tight shots to make you feel as trapped as the main characters are, or really wide sweeping shots to make you feel how small and helpless they are in the sheer vastness of the deep ocean. That last part really started getting to me in my thalassophobia. The first time Nora steps out onto the seafloor in the film, you really get an idea of just how out of their depth they are. I swear I'm not making these puns on purpose, guys. All you can see is the light shining about 10 feet in front of her, and beyond that, crushing blackness. It's a simple visual, but it's one that really serves to illustrate the absolute horror that they're stuck in. Speaking of horror, I want to talk for a minute about the monsters in this film because it's been a while since we've been given a good, honest-to-God creature feature. And this movie really does it right. We get several looks at the monsters in question, but they're always fleeting, and the low light of the ocean floor really helps to keep them obscured. We get enough of a picture of what they look like, but the film never shows them outright in full clarity, and I really appreciated that. It leaves just enough up to the imagination while not completely blueballing you. But one thing I appreciated more is something that happens in the final act. I don't want to spoil too much, but I will say that it involves a flare gun, and it is an absolute money shot. Remember those Hollywood Scotty videos I was referencing? It's like that. And it's so well crafted that it made me curl up into a ball and just go, nope, and stay on edge for the rest of the film. The characters are all pretty well-rounded and likable, and I really found myself pretty attached to every single one of them, even now terrorist TJ Miller, who I usually dislike as comic relief. Kristen Stewart is the obvious standout, and Nora as a character just feels so real and human. Her reactions to everything are just so genuine, and there's a ton of vulnerability to her, but there's also a ton of strength. You can see the toll that all of this is taking on her, and Stewart really sells that without her having to say anything. Just her body language and her little facial tics say everything you need to know about how she's taking the situation and how she's dealing with all of the hard calls she has to make and the toll it's taking on her. It's super not fair how much shit she still gets for Twilight, where she was basically forced to play a non-character. And the rest of the cast is just as human and just as easy to like. It would be easy in a film like this to throw in a bunch of flat characters with no personality just to be kill fodder, but that wasn't the case here, and I found myself getting genuinely upset as characters started getting picked off because I was attached to them, I liked them. And speaking of kills, this movie is shockingly brutal for a PG-13 horror film. There aren't any crazy moments of gore, but all of the deaths are really violent and disturbing even without the gore. The first death in the movie comes as a result of explosive decompression, and it's so memorable and so horrifying because it's 100% real. For a film about fish monsters and giant sea leviathans, it's shockingly grounded when it comes to the deaths, and I really appreciated that. I really don't even have any negatives that come to mind, guys, aside from like little things I would have done differently. Maybe removing the opening and closing monologues of the film, but that's so minor that I can't get upset about it. The pacing was excellent, the characters were likable, and on top of that, it's just a total blast of a film. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a monster movie this much. It might have been A Quiet Place. Nevertheless, I'm going to say that Underwater is a must-see. I guess don't go into it expecting anything deep or meaningful as far as themes or characters go, but as long as you know what to expect going into it, I think it's going to deliver. It's an intense, crazy, fun sci-fi horror movie, and I'm thrilled that we're starting off the year with something so good. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, click down there, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to be like any of these cool people right here, if you want to become a part of the Horror Pals community and really get involved with this channel and help me grow and develop and make new quality content for you all to enjoy, if you want to get cool gifts, click the link down below to my Patreon. I've got some really cool reward tiers that I think you would all really enjoy. Check it out. Consider donating. Even $1 would help, but even if you don't, thank you so much for watching anyway, and I'll see you all very soon.
Employ me